Hello, this is Professor Rich, and welcome to our 9th episode of TYT History. What I want to talk about today is the election of 1948. I like to talk about elections when we talk about American history because I think they really help us understand the particular time that they happened in, but I also think that they can teach us something about electoral politics in our government today. Now, in 1948, the incumbent president is going to be Harry Truman. Now, this will be the first and only time Harry Truman runs for election. He became president, of course, when FDR died, and he'll choose not to run in 1952. Now, the way he became vice president is important to understand what's going on here. FDR won 4 elections as president and had 3 different vice presidents. His second vice president was Henry Wallace. And by 1944, FDR was taking a lot of pressure for how much the government was spending with the war and many of the New Deal programs in place. He was politically vulnerable on this issue. Well, his vice president, Henry Wallace, was very liberal. He was kind of one of the poster boys for the New Deal. And so FDR, in an attempt to quiet his critics, dumped Henry Wallace. And he turned his attention to Harry Truman. Harry Truman was a senator from Missouri who had been holding committees, it was called the Truman Commission, in the Senate on wasteful spending in the war, companies who were defrauding the United States. And it's estimated that his commission saved about $15 billion of taxpayer money during World War II. And so Truman had become kind of the poster boy of fiscal responsibility, of saving money. So FDR, wanting to change this image, would pick Truman to be his vice president. They didn't really know each other. And so that's going to become all the more important. Truman's inexperience and kind of not being clued into what was going on in the White House, because 82 days after becoming the Vice President of the United States, Harry Truman will become the President of the United States. And this is going to create the impression that he's not up to the job, that he's not FDR, certainly. FDR had been such a giant, and Truman has to follow that, which is a difficult act to follow. Now, Truman is going to want to do his own big domestic program, just like FDR had. FDR had the New Deal, which is, by the way, a reference to FDR's relative Teddy Roosevelt's Square Deal. And so Harry Truman is going to have the Fair Deal. Now, check out the Fair Deal. This is a progressive, modern progressive's dream in many ways. Here are the things he asked for. He wants to expand Social Security, raise the minimum wage, have the federal government guarantee every American a job, public housing. He wants to use federal money to rebuild the inner cities, spend federal money on research and development, long-term environmental planning, federal money for education. He also wanted to create an atomic energy commission to try to get us off of oil and onto atomic energy. Progressives today probably wouldn't be too happy about that, but there it was. But here's something you may or may not know. He wanted a single-payer government-provided health care plan. This was very liberal, going much further to the left than the New Deal had. Well, in 1946, the Republicans in the congressional elections will run with the slogan, "Had enough." And of course what they mean is, have you had enough of the New Deal? Have you had enough of the expansion of government? And this is going to work. In 1946, the Republicans are going to have massive victories. They'll pick up 55 seats in the House, 12 seats in the Senate, and take control of both houses of Congress. In 1947, the Republicans will pass a bill called the Taft-Hartley Bill. This is called by organized labor the Slave Labor Bill. And what it said, the big thing, it limits unions in many ways, but the big thing it does is it makes illegal the union shop, or the business or the industry where you're required to join a union to work in that business or industry. And this and a number of other measures are going to severely limit the power of unions, but more importantly, limit their ability to expand and grow. It's going to be very controversial, and Truman's actually going to veto it, but his veto will be overridden by Congress and it will in fact go into law. Truman will respond to losses in the 46 congressional elections by doubling down. Jank would love this. Truman goes right at the Republicans. He signs an executive order fully integrating the military, so blacks and whites can serve together in the same units. He will push for an office in the federal branch of the government for voting rights for minorities, as well as equal employment rights for minorities. Now, Truman is largely ignored by Congress. He's not able to get hardly anything done. They don't even take up his legislation for the most part, and he continually vetoes the things they do. This makes him, leads him to be seen as weak, and there's a lot of talk, of course, that he's no FDR. On the civil rights legislation, Truman will say, "My forebears were Confederates, but my very stomach turned over when I had learned that Negro soldiers just back from overseas were being dumped out of Army trucks in Mississippi and beaten." And this is going to be the kind of thing that leads him to this. Now, the 1948 Democratic National Convention is one of the most dramatic party conventions in history. It will devolve into chaos when Hubert Humphrey, at that time he's the mayor of Minneapolis, later he'll be LBJ's vice president, and of course he will get the Democratic nomination in what is probably the most tumultuous electoral year in modern history, 1968, and lose to Nixon. But he really becomes to prominence originally because he proposes a civil rights plank be inserted in the Democratic platform. Now, this is a really big deal because the Democratic Party, of course, was kind of the party of racism. Well, they were the party of racism. The party had been drifting in two different directions. Northern Democrats had been embracing minority voters more and more, while, of course, Southern Democrats, for them, segregation was pretty much the key issue. Humphrey will say, "To those who say, my friends, to those who say that we are rushing this issue of civil rights, I say to them we are 172 years too late. To those who say this civil rights program is an infringement on states' rights, I say this: the time has arrived in America for the Democratic Party to get out of the shadow of states' rights and walk forthrightly into the bright sunshine of human rights." Well, when the committee adopts the anti-segregation plank into the official platform calling for desegregation of schools in the South, a federal lynching law, and an end to job discrimination, Southern delegates are going to walk out of the committee. Let me explain real quickly the federal lynching law. What was going on is blacks, of course, were being lynched in the South. But when they got lynched, the guys who did it, if they were arrested at all, would end up going and sitting before a jury of people who may have been involved in lynching themselves. They might be arrested and processed by police officers who either supported them or took part in the lynchings. And then sit before a judge, of course, who was probably very sympathetic to the white guy, not so sympathetic to the black guy. If it became a federal crime, you could bring in federal law enforcement, federal judges, and federal juries, and you would actually be able to convict some of these people. So that's why the lynching law was such a big deal. So Southern delegates walk out of the convention, some of them do, and they will later meet and they will nominate their own candidate for president. They'll call their party the States' Rights Party, although most people will call them, then and now call them the Dixiecrats. Their candidate will be the 46-year-old governor of South Carolina, Strom Thurmond. If you recognize that name, that's because he'll serve in the Senate until he's 100 years old in 2003. He'll have switched parties to the Republicans by then, of course. The States' Rights Party is really important. They were a single-issue party. All they were demanding was a constitutional amendment guaranteeing states' rights to segregate the races. Now, this is a really important movement in the history of our country. Southerners have been uncomfortable with the Democratic Party for a while now. In the 1920s, the party will almost break in half over the issue of Catholicism. In 1928, the Democrats nominate Al Smith, the Catholic governor of New York, and the Southern Democrats don't show up. FDR had made his New Deal programs available to African Americans and minorities in general. And of course, Truman has now signed executive orders desegregating the military and attempting to end employment discrimination. And of course, Hubert Humphrey has called for the desegregation of schools in the South 6 years before Brown versus Board of Education. Well, the Dixiecrats have nowhere to go because the Republican Party, if anything, is probably more progressive on civil rights during this time. At this point, they still are very proud to be the party of Lincoln and still talk a lot about how they freed the slaves and that sort of thing. And so neither party was willing to carry the racist, bigot Southern banner anymore. And so they had to form their own party in 1948. Of course, in 1964, the Southern racists will find a permanent home when Barry Goldwater will make states' rights, of course, which is a code word for segregation, a part of his campaign. And in 1968, Nixon will also pick up on that mantra, and you still hear that today, although it's not always used in a racial context. So if you're wondering how the South would flip from being solidly Democratic for so long, today being solidly Republican, that this is part of that story. If that wasn't bad enough, another group of Democrats are going to leave Truman. Henry Wallace, FDR's old vice president, will lead a group of Democrats who are unhappy about the Cold War. Truman is one of really the fathers of the Cold War. And a group of very liberal Democrats will decide Truman isn't liberal enough for them, and they'll walk away. And so now the Democratic Party has been split 3 ways. It actually almost gets split 4 ways when a group of Democrats who think we're not hard enough on the Cold War, who actually want direct confrontation with Russia, will try to draft Eisenhower to be their candidate. But he'll say no, and that movement will fall apart. They're called, by the way, the Americans for Democratic Action. The Republicans figure they won this thing. The Democratic Party has broken itself into 4 pieces. They nominate Thomas Dewey, who was the governor of New York. He had actually lost the 1944 election to FDR, but they felt pretty confident he was going to win this time. And Dewey will respond to the chaos on the left and the Democratic Party by running one of the blandest campaigns in history. In fact, he'll begin to be mocked for this. The Louisville Courier-Journal will write about his campaign. No presidential candidate in the future will be so inept that 4 of his major speeches can be boiled down to these historic 4 sentences. Agriculture is important. Our rivers are full of fish. You cannot have freedom without liberty, and our future lies ahead. And he was actually widely criticized for running such a bland, uninteresting campaign. But he didn't feel he had to do anything. He figured Truman couldn't win. Now, the Republicans, when they meet for their convention, in an attempt to actually win back a lot of labor voters and people who were beginning to become concerned with civil rights, are going to adopt some fairly, for the time, dramatic elements into their platform. They are going to call for an expansion of Social Security, which Truman had called for, which was very popular. They're going to also call for a federal anti-lynching law, and they're going to call for a national health care program. Now, they're doing this to try to steal a lot of Truman's thunder. But Truman deduces, correctly, that they don't really mean it. Truman is optimistic. He's convinced he's going to win. And he begins running against Congress as a do-nothing Congress. He blames the problems, particularly inflation, which was an issue at the time, on Congress refusing to take up any of his legislation. And in fact, he's going to call a special session of Congress between the nominating conventions and the election. Now, this is the first special session of Congress called since 1856, and it's the last one to be called. So in the last 160 years, there's been 1 special session of Congress, and this is it. The president can do this, by the way. It's in the Constitution. Of course, the Republicans call this politics. They say he's acting like a dictator. He's exceeding his authority, which to the letter of the law is clearly not true because the Constitution says he can do it. It was just a violation of established tradition by that point. And they refuse, it's actually Senator Robert Taft, who refuses to allow any bills on the floor at all as a way of protesting what they see as Truman overstepping his bounds. Truman just simply points at them and says, see all that stuff they promised you on their platform? They didn't mean it. If they meant it, they'd pass it. And he is able to successfully humiliate the Republicans. Just like when Bill Clinton gets in a fight with Congress, the public decides the president is right in both of these cases. Now, you probably think, if you know much about the 1948 election, you probably think of it as one of the great surprise elections. The assumption was Truman couldn't win. Gallup by now is polling. They hadn't been polling that long, but they're polling now. And they had released a few polls that had showed Truman, particularly over the summer, with approval ratings down into the 30s. The election did not look good, but polling was primitive, and the results weren't terribly reliable, as it turns out. And the polls were infrequent. It wasn't like 3 or 4 polls a day like we see these days. And by the time the election came, Truman's battle with Congress had really changed the dynamic of the entire election. And even though the party is split 4 ways, Truman will win. And what you may not know is he wins fairly easily. The assumption was he was going to lose. In fact, the editors of the Chicago Tribune went ahead and assumed Dewey was going to win and put out the now famous Dewey defeats Truman headline. But if you look at the numbers, it's not that close. Truman gets 49.5% of the vote. Dewey gets 45% of the vote. Wallace and Thurman both pick up 2 to 3% of the vote. Thurman wins a number of southern states, taking 39 electoral votes out of the equation. But still, Truman is able to win 303 to 189 in the Electoral College, showing that the Republicans apparently have been fairly overconfident. I like this election. I find it a really interesting election. First off, you see a party split, and the candidate in the split party still wins, so that's pretty interesting. But more importantly, Cenk talks a lot about wanting to see a candidate go right at the other party, and I can't think of a better example of that than Truman calling the Republicans into special session and daring them to pass the things they had just pledged to support in their platform. Anyway, something to think about. I hope you learned something. Check out my other videos online. The response has been great. I appreciate everybody who's watched it and posted the comments. I read them all. I love it. Thanks for watching.